Well, here I am again. It's Friday Funnies Day. This is Omar. Um, uh, black girl, don't you lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines where the sun it never shines. And I shivered the whole night through. Well, that was a song that I first heard from John Baldry's It Ain't Easy album. Long John Baldry was his name. He was higher on the charts during the Beatles' American tours and world renown as one of the oldest rockers in British music. He was called Long John because he was 6'6" and he wore a Stetson just like mine. And he toured the U.S. in, I guess, '68 and fell flat. A couple more times he came by to the armories or other places to play. But there were three songs that I just loved, and I'm going to play one of them because it's relevant to Friday Funnies. But Black Girl, and it was recovered in the 90s as That Girl. It's an old Negro spiritual, and I don't know why they chose to make it That Girl, but they made a lot of money off of it. I think it was Smashing Pumpkins. Anyway, Long John Baldry had a saxophone player in his band whose last name was Elton. And he had a keyboardist who was named Reginald Kenneth Dwight, who would choose John's first name as his last and Elton's last name as his first and put Hercules in there, and he thus became Elton John. That Girl was the name of a TV show in the 60s that Marla Thomas, Danny Thomas's daughter, as a young child on his family-friendly TV show, ran, I guess, about 2 years. It was pretty well received, and she wasn't a profound actress, but I think what happened to her was she did a Playboy pictorial, and I think because she came from a family background, that was the end of her TV career. Anyway, one of my good friends, the only non-family member at my daughter Shayla's birth, Tushelle Lieberman, she wore a patent leather nurse's outfit with stethoscopes and thigh-high platform shoes. That was Tushelle. She was Elton John's dresser when he first toured in America. She lives in Las Vegas today, and maybe she'll catch this show. I don't know. She had a great shop named Bad Attitudes, and I used to like to shop there quite a bit. And she moved that and her nude cabaret and her clothing line down to Las Vegas, and she still does corsets for people for orthopedic needs to get off of walkers, but she still does some fancy work. She did a corset for Beyonce about 10 years ago. So the song was Don't Lay No Boogie Woogie on the King of Rock and Roll. And it started with a soliloquy that went something like this. Well, when I started playing in England, there was no jazz scene. There was no blues scene. There really wasn't any kind of scene at all. Well, one day I got arrested in London. I had to appear before the magistrate the next day in the court. And it went something like this. The constable comes up to the magistrate and says, "Well, Your Honor, I have brought this defendant here. I was proceeding in a southerly direction, my lord, down by a Waldorf place, when I heard a strange sound, a sort of a boogie-woogie music was being played. Well, I investigated the situation as there was a traffic jam about a mile long, and I found the defendant on a corner with a guitar singing and an old hat on the ground collecting pennies." "Oh, well, just one moment, officer," said the magistrate. What is this boogie-woogie music you're referring to?" "Well, my lord," said the officer, getting out his notebook, obviously been doing his homework, "it's a kind of a jazz rhythm music peculiar to the American Negro." And what was the defendant doing playing this sort of music on Waldorf Street?" "Well, I got off with years conditional probation, but I'll always remember that officer and his boogie-woogie." "Don't tell me none of your lies, woman, 'cause all you know I've told. Don't tell me no alibi sisters, 'cause all you got I've sold. You better leave your midnight sneaking to the one who worked it out. I don't want to hear no back talk speaking, so go on, shut your mouth, and everything's gonna work out right if you act like you've been told. Just don't try to lay no boogie-woogie on the king of rock and roll. Don't feed me no TV dinners when you know I'm used to steak. I don't need no rank beginners when it's time to shake the snake. You better put your things together, reach out and dust it off. And if you feel that you just can't dig it, then I guess you don't know what it's all about. It ain't a matter of pork and beans that's gonna justify your soul. Don't try to lay no boogie-woogie on the king of rock and roll. You weren't alive when I started to jive, so don't put none on me. You didn't strive till late 45, but your head's in 53. You got what it takes to keep their heads a-spinning down at the old rib shack, but you come off just like a fool grinning in the back of a red Cadillac. You can't come across the Antoine Bridge until you pay the toll. So don't try to lay no boogie-woogie on the king of rock and roll. Well, one time I was at a birthday party for Ramsey Imbeck, who lived 3 blocks away from me. He produced 11 platinum albums and was the Pointer Sisters musical director in LA, and produced a Michael Jackson album and a Gladys Knight and a Carl Anderson. And so, you know, these parties that we used to go to, we're sort of a rotating door of jazz and blues musicians in Portland. Hey, you got a gig? Okay, let's call this person. He can play bass. He knows all these songs. And, you know, there's 200, 300 songs that everybody in Southeast Portland can just pick up and play. And, you know, it's going along. People just start singing. And all of a sudden, Ramsey starts playing the chords for Don't Lay No Boogie-Woogie. And only one other time in my life, which was at a hootenanny where Rocket Man came on, and every single guitarist in the house picked up their guitar and everybody sang. So anyway, 90% of the people in this audience went through that. Well, I was proceeding in a southerly direction, my lord, when I heard a strange sound. So Kay Vancouver played that almost every hour in '67 when it came out, along with Inagata da Vida and the Chamber Brothers' Time Is. And they were definitive songs for that year. Nobody else played the 10-plus minute version of those songs in Portland. They had to knock it down to 4 minutes. And nobody else bothered to play John Baldry much at all. But they never played the soliloquy. But it was a choice piece as I was thinking about comedy, and I blogged about comedy, and I don't know why I've been struggling with comedy. It's because there's nobody laughing, and I don't get any feedback, because I was talking to a newspaper publisher 2 days ago, and he must have laughed nonstop for 5 minutes during our conversation, because I'm pretty witty. So I'm going to just try to remember who I am and remember that I don't need a laugh track and I don't need you. I talked about it. Tomorrow's Spoken Word Saturday, and I'm going to use my word for the spoken word tomorrow. I got a good theme. At my English, Latin, Puerto Rican church that I go to, the leadership will come up and say I use the pronoun she and her. Well, tomorrow's topic, I'm going to say that I use the program it and that. She and her, or he and him, are words that have taken up two sides: misogynism, other things, sexism. And so it just dawned on me, not cousin it from the Addams family, but that really, if we want to find neutrality, our pronouns should be it and that. So that is who it is, Omar. Have a great day.